172. Kwan-Yin versus Christ. Chalcedon Report number 123, November 1975. The origins of socialism in the modern world are deeply rooted in Oriental thought, in Hinduism and Buddhism in particular. With the Enlightenment, modern man began to show great interest in Far Eastern thought because he believed that he found therein the quote, natural end quote, religion he felt was basic to all men. Few people today appreciate the extent to which 18th century man was interested in India, and especially China. This interest led to the very extensive work in the 19th century by Friedrich Max Müller and others in translating and interpreting the philosophies of the Far East. The idea of, quote, natural, end quote, religion died, but what remained from these studies was the essential relativism of Far Eastern philosophy. Because of the despair of truth, these philosophies insisted on the meaninglessness of standards and values, discriminations and distinctions, and the ultimate oneness of all things. Whereas Christianity established distinctions and requires a division between God and sin, good and evil, the saved and the lost, Matthew chapter 10 verses 34 and 35. Buddhism, for example, works to overcome divisions. Kwan-Yin, the Chinese goddess of mercy, was held to affirm that she could not enter paradise as long as any human beings were excluded. Never will I receive individual salvation, she is supposed to affirm, and stands outside the gates of heaven waiting for the last man to come in. Kwan-Yin was very popular with Western liberals, and Unitarian leaders like M.D. Conway in the 19th century made much of her equalitarian creed. Their point was well taken. If biblical faith is not true, then the total inclusiveness and equalitarianism of Kwan-Yin is a logical faith. All things being relative and equally meaningless, they are also equally meaningful if we give them any relative meaning or value. It is thus easy to see why, in their rebellion against Christianity, modern men, from the 18th century to the present, have been so intensely interested in Oriental religions and philosophies. Some of them sounded like children of Kwan-Yin, so faithfully have they reproduced her philosophy. Thus, the socialist leader of U.S. World War I days, Eugene Debs, thrilled the American gurus and faithful with his passionate equalitarianism. Called the Billy Sunday of socialism, Debs would affirm his faith with intense fervour. While there is a lower class, I am of it. While there is a soul in prison, I am not free. This is a denial of the validity of criminal law. It means all men and all acts are equal. Debs did not go that far, but men since then have done so, and the result is the progressive defence and, quote, vindication, end quote, of the criminal, and the reduction and disarming of the law-abiding. In July 1975, Doris L. Dolan, founder and president of Citizens for Law Enforcement Needs, a California-based organization, declared, "Crime is caused by criminals, and we, as law-abiding citizens, have the absolute right to be free of the criminal elements. I'm broken-hearted about the things I've witnessed and learned over these past 10 years of citizen involvement in the workings of the judiciary system. Our organization has files bulging with statistics on criminal activities and reasons why crime has reached epidemic proportions as recorded today. We've determined that a majority of the United States Supreme Court members, as well as a California Supreme Court majority and some legislators, do not understand the right of the citizen to be free of the criminal elements. They understand nothing but the right of the criminal." Van Nuys, California, News, 1975, page 25a. The situation should not surprise us. Because biblical faith and law have been undermined, modern man tends increasingly to view things with the eyes of Kwan-Yin rather than Christ, equalizing good and evil rather than establishing justice and stamping out evil. Meanwhile, as socialism is imported into the Far East, it is readily accepted because, however much westernized, It is simply the logical development of Far Eastern philosophies. Socialism will prevail in the East and West alike until its underlying relativism is rejected in favour of biblical faith. The answers, thus, are not to be found in the ballot box. Ballots simply express the minds and faiths of men. The problem is, in essence, religious. We can summarize it as Kwan-Yin or Christ. All things are relative, or is there an absolute God with an unchanging word? How we answer this question will determine our lives and our politics. If we deny God's justice and law, we must eventually accept Kwan-Yin's democracy of good and evil. Kwan-Yin supposedly cannot and will not enter paradise until every last man is included. How beautiful this sounds to our modern sentimental revivalists. However, when every last man enters, it will not be paradise, but hell. Meanwhile, the application of this Kwan-Yin principle is turning earth into hell. It denies justice, demolishes law, and, by mercy to the vicious, is merciless to the law-abiding. The rot of relativism cannot be eliminated by ballots and laws. It requires a return to biblical faith, regeneration in Christ, and a society established on God's law. There is no substitute for the truth